Hey everybody, welcome back to another Deck Profile Friday. And in this one here, I got a pretty special one for you as we're going to be covering one of my favorite formats, which is the Worlds 2010 format. And if you follow my Instagram, WJO_88, you would recognize the Pokemon that I was talking about. As I said, that the Pokemon that is the star of the deck is actually on the cover of one of the latest Pokemon video games to come out. And the one that I'm talking about is obviously Brilliant Diamond, and that Pokemon being Dialga. More specifically to the deck, DialgaChomp. And just an awesome deck. If you're looking for a deck that's hard to play, one that locks your opponent, one that's just like, you have to really think out your moves, this is probably the deck for you, as this is definitely one of the toughest decks, if not the toughest deck to play in this format. Knowing when to do things is really key. And you definitely need to get a lot of testing underneath your belt in order to play this deck properly. So, without further ado, let's get into the 19th deck profile. We have a 3-1 Dialga line. So, 100 HP, 2 retreat cost, weakness to fire, resistance to psychic, -20. That's good against things like Uxie. Right, and the weakness is actually really good too, as there's not a lot of fire. For two energy, a metal and a colorless, deafen does 10. Your opponent can't play any trainer cards or stadiums during his or her next turn, so really good. And it shuts down what your opponent can do. So, and its second attack there, second strike for 2 colorless and a metal does 50. And then if they have two damage counters on it or more, this attack does 20 more damage. So pretty cool. And then the main boss Pokemon of the deck, Dialga G level X, 120 HP. Same resistances, weakness, and retreat cost. Pardon me. It's Pokebody there, Time Crystal. It's absolutely amazing. It shuts down all Pokebodies on all Pokemon excluding Pokemon SP. Right, so it's great for shutting down things like Spiritomb, the one with the trainer blocking effect. The Vileplume, which pretty much has the same effect. Right, it shuts down Mewtwo level X, which prevents damage done to it by basic Pokemon. So it's just really, really good. Those are the main three. And that's attack there for 2 metal and 2 colorless. Remove loss. It is 80. Flip a coin until you get tails. For each heads, remove an energy attached to the defending Pokemon and put it into the loss zone. So it's a great energy removal effect if you're able to get multiple of them off. So pretty cool. And that's the main boss Pokemon. So now we're going to go into the support Pokemon. And we have a 2-2 Garchomp C line. And then a 2-1 Uxie line. So Garchomp C, 80 HP. Retreat cost of 1, resistance to nothing, weakness to colorless ×2. Claw Swipe, 2 for 30. Earthquake there, 3 for 50. And it does 10 damage to each of your bench Pokemon. The thing with Earthquake is it's really good at knocking out opposing Garchomp Cs, right, with the help of the double colorless energy and an energy gain, which is cool, and you can play it out of nowhere as well. So, and then Garchomp C level X, same resistance and weakness. Retreat cost, however, is nothing, and it's got an increased HP to 110. Amazing Pokepower there in Healing Breath. It heals all damage from your Pokemon SP when you play it from your hands. And then its attack there is an absolute monster of an attack. It's an 80 snipe anywhere on your opponent's board at the cost of discarding 2 energy. So great for knocking out things like Curlia, opposing Garchomps, Claydolls, right? You name it. Just an awesome attack there. Uxie there, 70 HP, retreat cost of 1, resistance to nothing, weakness to Psychic plus 20. This here, Uxie, like the basic Uxie, is what Shaman EX was based off of, which came out in Roaring Skies, XY Roaring Skies. That's an absolute monster of a power. When you play this card from your hand onto your bench, you draw cards till you have 7 cards in your hand. So this here is what people try and power spray. Right, this is the main effect. Either this or a Bright Look from a Luxray level X, which we don't play in here, obviously, because it's DialgaChomp and not LuxChomp. But this here is one of the prime targets for a power spray. So you want to be wary when you play this card, right? But it, high risk with a huge reward aspect. Uxie level X there, 90 HP, retreat cost of 1, resistance to Psychic. Weakness to Psychic times 2, resistance to nothing. Trade-off allows you to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose one goes to your hand, and then the other to the bottom of your deck. So the trickiest thing with this card is trying to get it into play, and the best time to do that is really right after a KO. You promote an Uxie, you attach an unknown Q to it, you level up to Uxie level X, right? And then now you're able to get a consistent draw engine of every turn, right? Within the top 2 cards. So which can actually help. A Zenblade there for 2 colorless. It does 60, which is good. This is a great card for countering Machamp, right? Because due to its weakness, Machamp's not heavily played, but if you are playing in a heavily populated area with a lot of Machamp, right? Then I would definitely increase this line to a 3-1, or possibly even change the line to a 2-2, just so you're able to get that Uxie level X a little bit faster. So, and that's that. So now we're going to go on to the support Pokemon. So those were the secondary attackers. The support Pokemon, we have a Bronzong G, a Crobat G, a Dragonite FB, a Drifblim FB, Toxicroak G, Azelf, and Unknown Q. So Bronzong is there to move energy around with its Galactic Switch power, which is actually a main strategy of this deck, which I'm going to get into a bit later. Crobat G there is to chip away damage. You're able to put a damage counter on any one of your opponent's Pokemon. So if you're 10 shy, let's say you're using Drifblim there, right, which has the power or attack Shadow Ball. It does 40 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Apply weakness and resistance. So let's say you target something like a Uxie or an Azelf, right? They would be at 60. They would take 60 damage, right? Meaning they would be 10 short off a knockout. So this is where Crobat comes in. And then obviously the same thing, if you target a Uxie level X, right? It would be 80 damage done to it, and then once again you're 10 shy from knocking it out. So that's where Crobat G comes in. And it's also got free retreat cost, which is great too. Which is great to promote after a knockout. So Dragonite FB there, which is a great card. It's a monster, giant HP, giant retreat cost, resistance to fighting. So it's I guess not really a great Machamp counter, but it's decent against Toxicroak. Weakness to colorless. So you got to be wary of getting Garchomp killed with this, or even Ambipom killed. Its attack there, Mach Blow, which is amazing again. It does 80 damage instead of 20 if the defending is a Pokemon SP, so that 80 knocks out a lot of things. It knocks out Blaziken, it knocks out Luxray, knocks out Garchomp, it knocks out Ambipom, right? It knocks out a lot of things. It'll knock out the Drift Blim if the Pokebody isn't activated. It knocks out a lot of things. And then, if you're really desperate, you can use Giant Tail, which will do 100 damage if you hit a heads on the coin flip, obviously. Pretty cool. Drifblim there. So, what I mentioned earlier, right? It becomes a monster if its Pokebody is activated. If your opponent has 3 or less prize cards, it gets plus 40 HP. That ties it with Dialga G level X. And then its attack there is great for targeting things, like I said, like Azelfs and Uxies that are just sitting on the bench. You can get cheap prizes that way. As it's going to be really hard for your opponent to get a KO on this, as nothing really deals 120 damage, to knock it out. And Dark Weakness is actually a good weakness. It's a decent weakness to have. The only Pokemon that are dark that are being played is Sableye, Honchkrow G, and to a lesser extent, Weavile G and Tyranitar Prime, which is cool. So enough about that. We got Toxicroak G, so this here is the Luxray killer, the Revenge Luxray killer, which is why it's there. With Poison Revenge, if any of your Pokemon were knocked out by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon during his or her last turn, this attack does 40 more damage, and the defending Pokemon is now poisoned, so it's 60 in poison, which is good. And then it's power there, Leap Away. So it actually makes Toxicroak a decent starter. With the success of a coin flip, it allows you to put Toxicroak and all cards attached to it into your hand. So this allows you to reuse that psychic energy and that energy gain, right? Azelf there is to pick a Pokemon out of your prizes that you need, right? And then you put a card back, and its attack there, Lockup. For a psychic, it does 20, and then they can't retreat. So this is great to lock them. Unknown Q. So another fantastic card, right? Its power there, quick, allows you to when you attach it to a Pokemon, it gives it one less cost in its retreat cost to retreat, which is good. It's also a great starter in itself, but you got to be wary because due to its low HP, you are able to get donked. There's a lot of things that deal 30 damage, like Luxray's Bite, Garchomp C's Claw Swipe, right? Heck, an Uxie with just one energy attached to it, right, will deal enough damage to knock it out. So just be very careful. That's it for the Pokemon. So there's a few Pokemon that I'll mention that you could play in here. I did mention with a Machamp heavy meta that I'd maybe play a 3-1 Uxie line or a 2-2, right? One Pokemon that would work really well with that is Lucario GL, because it changes the weakness to ×2, right? So that Zenblade will no longer be dealing, I think it's 90, 60, and then plus 30 weakness with Machamp. It'll actually deal 120. And then, like I said, with the help of Crobat, you're able to get that knockout. So that could work. Another card for the Machamp matchup would be Unknown G, as it prevents effects done to a Pokemon that the card's attached to. right? So you can play a copy or two of that, right? Ambipom G is another great card. It's like a mini Dragonite, except it's a little bit faster, as you don't need two energy and an energy gain uh, to attack with it, right? To get that KO on that Garchomp. It just requires a single energy card and the energy gain, which is a lot more achievable. Um, because you can just Cyrus's conspiracy out that package, right? You get the gain on the energy, or if you have the gain, you can get the SP radar and the energy, right? And that's pretty much it for the Pokemon. So we're gonna get into the trainers, supporters, and stadiums now, which we play a pretty a pretty decent lineup. I'm pretty happy with where it is. But we got 4 Cyrus's Conspiracy, 4 Energy Gain, Team Galactic's Invention Energy Gain, 4 Poketurn, 2 Power Spray, and then 2 SP Radar. So Cyrus's Conspiracy is like one of the best cards ever printed, my opinion. Searches for a supporter, searches for a basic energy, and then you're able to search for a Team Galactic's Invention, which is awesome. It's pretty much what makes SP decks run. And nothing bad to say about that card. You have to play 4. You either play 4 or you just don't play SP. Really simple. Team Galactic's Invention Energy Gain. It drops the attack cost of the Pokemon that it's attached to, as long as it's an SP. Is a colorless less, which is good. Poketurn returns one of your Pokemon SP and all cards attached to your hand, which is really good because it'll combo with a card that I'll share a little bit later. Power Spray there. So, like I mentioned earlier, Power Spray is the card that your opponent is going to want to use against you when you play Uxies down. So it makes sense to play it yourself, right? The only debatable thing is how many copies you would play in your deck, right? It being 2, 3, or 4, right? Just depends on the space. Depends on your meta. What do you think is going to be more popular, right? If you're playing in a heavy SP meta, I'd maybe play 3 or 4, right? But if you're not playing in a heavy SP meta, you could probably just get away with 2. SP Rainer searches out pretty much every single SP Pokemon there is. So the only ones that can't get searched are Uxie, Uxie Level X, Azelf, and Unknown Q, which is pretty awesome. That's the Cyrus engine here. So now we're going to get on to the rest of the supporters and the stadiums. We have 3 Pokemon Collector, 2 Bebe Search, and an Aaron's Collection for the supporters. The Collector searches out pretty much all of our basic Pokemon, and it's searchable with Cyrus's Conspiracy. So you got pretty much 7 outs to drawing this, right? You can either draw it or just search it with Cyrus and then just play it your next turn. So I find 4 is a little bit too cloggy, and that's the reason why I decided to play 3. Baby Search is good for searching out the level X's, and is one of the only cards to search out Uxie level X. If you are playing in, like I said earlier, a Machamp heavy meta, I would maybe consider upping this to 3 copies, right? Just so you're able to get that Uxie a little bit faster. Aaron's Collection is great at getting back basic energy and knocked out Pokemon SP. or discarded. So pretty cool. And then on to these stadiums. So the stadiums I'm a little bit iffy on, right? I think I'm pretty happy with this, but um, there are definitely a few other stadiums that you could play, and instead of the ones that I'm playing. I have 2 contest hall and a conductive quarry. So contest hall is good because you're able to search your deck for a basic Pokemon with the success of a coin flip. And then, if you do, you can search your deck for a Pokemon tool card and attach it to this. So this here is one of the few ways that we are able to get that expert belt that we play into play. So it's definitely worth it. The drawback is obviously your opponent can use the effect of this as well, right? So just be wary of that. Conductive Quarry there is great for getting back our metal energy cards. We play basic and special energy. And that does it for these stadiums. So now on to the one-ofs. We play 1 expert belt, 1 luxury ball, and a premier ball. So expert belt there adds 20 HP, and it does 20 more damage from the to the defending Pokemon that this card is attached to. So that's pretty good. But the downside is that when your opponent's Pokemon knocks the Pokemon this card is attached to out, they take an extra prize card. So you want to be very wary of that. And you don't want to let your opponent obviously get a hit on the prize cards, right? You don't want to be playing behind. You want to be playing ahead. And so it combos really well with Pokemon Contest Hall. One of the few things with this deck is that you're going to kind of struggle with that Deafen Lock, right? And it's going to come down to getting that turn 1 Deafen Lock with a metal or an energy gain, and an energy gain, or you can get that turn 2 Deafen Lock with 2 energies and an expert belt, right? Instead of the gain. The huge difference with this is damage output. What would you prioritize, doing more damage or being able to get the lock faster, right? If you have it over 5 turns, right? 5 turns, you're dealing, like with the energy gain and the metal, right? You're dealing only 50 damage, but 5 turns, right, have passed, right? You're dealing 120 damage. You're not going to be able to attack the first turn with the expert belt, right? But the second, third, fourth, and fifth turn, right, you'll be dealing 30 damage, right? So that's 120 damage, right? So it just depends on what you want to prioritize, right? And then if you choose the expert belt route, right, you can obviously increase the copies of it at the exchange of the energy gain, right? But it also allows you to play call energy, which is something that we don't play in here because the deck is designed on getting that turn 1 deafen. But if you do decide that that's not right for you, you can play call energy, which allows you to search for 2 basic Pokemon, which is actually really good because it pretty much doesn't waste you a turn of not being able to attack, right? You're able to at least do something like fill up your bench. So that's pretty cool. And then so back to the stadiums as well, and expert belt. Contest Hall searches out expert belt. One of the stadiums that you could play is Snowpoint Temple if you don't want to play Contest Hall, which gives 20 HP to your basic Pokemon and your opponents. So that's pretty cool. You can play that, or you can play a Galactic HQ or something like that, or a Pokemon that's played. I believe it's not SP. It takes 20. I believe that's the card reading. I can't remember, as I haven't looked at that card in a long time, so you could play that as well. And that does it for that. So we got Luxury Ball there. Searches out for any Pokemon excluding level X. Definitely just want to play one, right? As it's just a free Pokemon search. Premier Ball is a great way to search out level X's. You can search them from the deck or the discard pile. You know, it's a great card when you combo with Aaron's collection. So, and that does it for the trainers, supporters, and stadiums. And now on to the energy. For the energy, we have 4 double colorless, 4 special metal, 3 warp, 2 metal, and a psychic. So the double colorless, there's so many things that use it in the deck. Garchomp does, Dialga does, Uxie does, Dragonite does, Drifblim does. There's a lot of Pokemon that use it. You need to play 4. As you also want to get multiple Dragon Rushes off in the game as well. So, and if you can do that turn after turn after turn after turn by having the Garchomp loop where you have 2 in play and 1 level X, you're able to do that, right? The special metal energy is what makes our Dialga G a little bit more tanky, as because it's a metal type, it reduces the damage done to it by 10, which is where Warp Energy comes in. So Warp Energy allows you to switch the Pokemon with a Pokemon onto your bench. So you typically want to attach this active to your active Dialga G, right? And then what you want to do is you want to retreat it to Garchomp C level X. To Garchomp C. Then you want to play the level X, right? You want to play the level X to heal your Dialga. And then what you want to do is you want to Galactic Switch with Bronzong, that Warp Energy back to the Garchomp. And then you want to return the Garchomp to your hand. So you heal your Dialga, and then you set up your next turn Healing Breath with the Garchomp, right? And then, yeah, you have a fresh Dialga out, and then it's more tanky. So, yeah, that's the cool part about that card. 3 copies, I think, is good. You know, you're able to draw it a little bit more than 2, but it's not really clogging up your hands. The basic metal there is great. You know, it combos well with Conductive Quarry, and it's searchable with Cyrus and Aaron's collection. So 2 is great. And then the Psychic Energy as well. You're able to combo it with those 2 cards. And then it's used with obviously Toxicroak and then Azelf as well. So in a pinch, and I guess Drifblim as well. So yeah, there you go, everybody. That is the deck. That is DialgaChomp. It's a fun deck. It's a tough deck to play, and you know, if you're looking for, like I said, something that's really hard to play, and it's a decent counter to everything, you know, I would definitely recommend playing this deck, right? And make sure you get a lot of testing underneath your belt. Test against LuxChomp. Test against Gardevoir Gallade. Test against the Gengar variants, right? And Machamp, right? And Gyarados as well, right? As those are the top decks and the most popular decks right now in the World's 2010 format. And yeah, there you go, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this video and hope you got a lot of knowledge on this. This is, like I said, it's absolutely one of my favorite formats to play. And yeah, there you go. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Like this video and subscribe to my channel. Also, don't forget to check out my other videos, as there's a lot of knowledge bombs that were dropped, and I got a lot of openings as well. So if you want to see some cool openings, you can check those out. And most importantly, leave a comment. I want to hear what you guys think about what I'm doing, and I'd love to have your support. So awesome! Thank you so much, everybody, and see you next time.